What's up, my dudes? I contemplated making this video because I've never done anything like this before, and I felt like I didn't have enough knowledge to be able to give to you guys, even though I'm still learning about it. But I think I got this figured out, and I wanted to share what I went through and what I found out about this install. I'm still figuring out how I'm gonna clock and position the proportioning valve, so don't mind the lines being twisted right now. But for now, I more or less have it where they have theirs positioned on their website. And there's no instructions with it, so I'm gonna show you guys what routes to what. And honestly, once you have everything together, you realize, oh man, it's really simple. It's just 4 lines. I'm gonna pull a picture off the internet and label each line A to D, A being the shortest. And A goes here. This banjo bolt goes into RI, meaning rear in. Even though this port is in the front of the master cylinder, this does go to the rear. Next is B, which is gonna go to the rear of the master cylinder, and this is gonna be for the front brakes going into FI for front in. Next we got C, which is RO, meaning rear out. I reused the stock hardline bracket. These are a little bit thicker than the OEM hardlines, but they still fit in there. But it goes from this port along the firewall, and down here you should have a 90-degree fitting that goes to a hardline, and that hardline goes to the rear brakes, but that's where C goes. So 1, being the shortest line, is going to go into the proportioning valve where it says FO for front out. And it does get a little bit tricky because of how the lines are bent, so I had to make this U from this T. And 2 goes into your grommet hole where your old hard lines used to be. And it comes out through here. Now my car is right-hand drive, so my closest caliper is going to be the front right. But if you have a cressida, it should be the front left, but this is where number 2 goes. And it is probably a little bit longer than it needs to be, but I'm gonna add one of those brake line holders, that way it doesn't have extra slack and doesn't accidentally get rubbed by the inner barrel of the wheel. And the kit should come with 2 fittings that look like this. This is for the calipers, and the longer side is what threads into the caliper. There weren't any washers that came with the kit, so I'm guessing you're not supposed to use any. But if this happens to leak, then I can grab the copper washers off of the banjo bolt that originally came with the caliper. But if that's not the case, if it doesn't leak, then I guess there's no need. If not, I'll mention it at the end of the video that yeah, it does leak and you do need to add a copper washer. But I do wonder if this needs to be set all the way in for this flare to properly seat in there. But like I said, I'll mention it at the end. Once that's in, you take number 2 and thread this guy in. And boom. And number 3, being the longest, is gonna go from the T-fitting up along the firewall, over here and down here, and into your factory grommet hole where your old hardline used to be. And same thing, comes out through here, and then thread your fitting onto the caliper, and then your line to the fitting. And that's it. But I do have some criticism for this kit, and that is the way that some of these lines are shaped. I put this proportioning valve how they have it on their website, but on their website they don't use straight fittings. They use like 45-degree fittings, but for some reason they give you straight ones right here. So that's why you get these really weird bends, and this is probably the worst one. This one, it has a banjo bolt to a 90-degree fitting. And on their website, it has this line going away from the strut tower, but it sticks out like right about here. And what's right here, especially if you're top mount, your turbo. So that gets in the way. I don't like that it's sticking out a lot. And also this 90-degree fitting, it has to go to the left or to the right, or else it's gonna hit this knob. And it has this weird bend because right now the banjo bolt is trying to do this. I took it off to show you what I mean, but right now if you want to put this straight, it won't go straight. You have to force it to turn left a little bit. And if you put it on the other side, it does work a little bit better. But look how much it sticks out. So that's why I moved mine on the other side, and if it ended up ripping or breaking because of how it's twisted, then I'm just gonna take this off and go get one made. And for the front end, it kind of sticks out a little bit. Right now it's even touching the manifold, but you can probably just put a zip tie and tuck it more in. The two lines that come out of the proportioning valve, I feel like those are a good length. One side is not longer than the other. They both come out through the grommet hole, through the strut tower pretty evenly. And yes, you absolutely need a proportioning valve. From what I read, what could happen is the rear brakes could lock up way before the fronts do, and that could be an issue. And it doesn't have to be a Willwood one. I just got it because they offered it with their kit, and this is the part number for the one that I have. In the box, it does come with wiring if you're adding a pressure switch, and that's what this bottom is for. I put the rubber boot that comes with it, but it has two male connectors, but I'm not going to use those. I don't need to. And it also comes with a plug. I guess if your master cylinder somehow has a third port, mine doesn't. It only has two, one in the back and then one in the front. And this is some information about the size of the fittings. Right here where it says line connections. Pause the video and take that information with you if you want to make your own lines or have a local hose place. They can make them for you. I switched the banjo line just to double check that this fitting and this port is the same as all the other ones, and yes, they are. They're just all the same. And yes, my research was correct. Right here where it says proportioning valve adjustment, it pretty much says that without this, yeah, you could get more rear brake pressure and could cause the rear to lock up and car could skid. So yes, you do need a proportioning valve. Another thing, they do give you the dimensions of the proportioning valve, and it is 33 millimeters wide on both holes for your bolt. So maybe get yourself a bolt that's I don't know, maybe 40 millimeters. That way it can go through and into the threads of the firewall. Luckily I had one that barely fit to mock things up, but I will be going to the hardware store to buy a new shiny one just to make it look nicer. Oh yeah, and going back to the caliper, yes, you do need the copper washer, so make sure you don't toss your old ones away, and if not, grab some new ones because it will leak without it. One last thing, remember that plug that I said was for the master cylinder? Yes, you can use it for the master cylinder if you don't need it anymore, but with this proportioning valve, it actually has two FOs, two front outs, one at the bottom and one right here in the middle. And that plug, I actually had a leak, and I'm like, what the fuck, like, it's leaking already? And no, I didn't notice that there was an open port right here, so that's where the plug needed to be. And that's it. It's that easy. I didn't want to bore you guys with ripping out all the old hard lines because it's just ripping out the lines and the module that was like right here. It was a big old mess of lines. But this was my first time doing a ABS delete, and I think I pushed it off for so long because I didn't really know what I was doing or how to do it, because there's no instructions and the photos online don't help out at all. But hopefully this video kind of puts some insight on what goes to where. And if you guys have any questions, any problems, feel free to ask, and I'll see if I can help you as best I can. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.